Have you ever felt that someone is quietly trying to be seen by you, but never asks for your attention? Maybe she always seems to be nearby. Maybe she changes something about herself and secretly hopes you'll notice. Maybe she looks in your direction, only to look away before your eyes meet. These moments often seem like coincidences, but are they really? In this video, we'll uncover 7 psychological signs that reveal she is waiting for you to notice her. Stay until the end, because the final sign is the one most people ignore, even though it often reveals the strongest hidden feelings. Every Monday morning, Noah arrived at the university library 15 minutes early. He always chose the same seat, a quiet corner near the large windows. It was peaceful, perfect for studying. One morning, as he opened his notebook, someone pulled out the chair across from him. It was a girl he had seen around campus before. She smiled politely. "Is this seat taken?" "No, go ahead." She thanked him and quietly began reading. Neither of them spoke again. The next Monday, she returned. Again, she sat across from him. The week after that, the same thing happened. At first, Noah assumed it was coincidence. After all, the library was full of students. Maybe she simply liked that corner too. But then something changed. One afternoon, Noah arrived much later than usual. He expected someone else to be sitting there. Instead, the seat across from his usual place was still empty. 10 minutes later, the same girl walked in. She looked around the room. The library had dozens of empty tables. Yet she walked directly toward Noah. "Mind if I sit here?" He smiled. Of course. She looked strangely relieved. Her name, he later discovered, was Lily. Over the next few weeks, they still barely talked. Yet Noah started noticing small things. Whenever he entered the library, Lily somehow looked up within seconds. Sometimes she was deeply focused on her books. Sometimes wearing headphones. Yet she always seemed to notice him arriving. One rainy afternoon, Noah wore a blue jacket he had never worn before. As Lily sat down, she smiled. "Blue suits you." Noah looked surprised. "You've never seen me wear this before." She laughed softly. "I know. It looks nice." It was such a small comment. But Noah wondered, how had she noticed something that quickly? Days later, Noah changed his hairstyle after finally visiting the barber. Most of his friends didn't even notice. Lily did. "You cut your hair. You noticed." She smiled. "It was the first thing I saw." Noah laughed. "I don't even think my roommates noticed." She looked down at her notebook, trying to hide her smile. People rarely notice tiny changes, unless they're already paying close attention. The semester became busier. Assignments piled up. Students rushed from one class to another. One afternoon, Noah walked through the university courtyard carrying several books. As he looked ahead, he noticed Lily sitting on a bench. She wasn't using her phone. She wasn't reading. She simply looked around the campus. The moment she saw Noah, she quietly fixed her hair, straightened her jacket, then pretended to keep looking around. Noah almost smiled. It happened too naturally to be planned. Later that week, the psychology professor asked everyone to form discussion groups. Before Noah had the chance to choose, Lily walked toward his table. "Can I join your group?" "Sure." Throughout the discussion, she listened carefully whenever Noah spoke. Whenever someone else answered, she politely listened. But whenever Noah explained an idea, her attention seemed different, completely focused. As the session ended, she quietly said, "I liked your explanation." Noah thanked her. As he packed his bag, he noticed something unusual. Lily stayed behind for a few extra seconds, almost as if she was waiting for him to finish. When he finally stood up, she smiled. Then they naturally walked out of the classroom together. Noah couldn't explain why, but it felt like she had planned it. Several days later, the university organized a cultural festival. Music played across the campus. Food stalls filled the walkways. Students wandered everywhere. Noah arrived with 2 friends. As they explored the festival, one of them suddenly said, "Isn't that the girl from your library?" Noah looked ahead. It was Lily. She was standing with her friends, laughing, talking, completely relaxed. Then, for a brief moment, her eyes searched through the crowd. The second she spotted Noah, her smile became noticeably brighter. She whispered something to her friend. then casually walked toward a nearby stall. Not directly toward Noah, just close enough that he would notice her. One of Noah's friends quietly laughed. I think someone wants to be seen. What do you mean? Haven't you noticed? Every time you're around, she somehow ends up nearby. Noah didn't answer, because he had started noticing it too. Still, he wasn't sure whether he was imagining things, or whether Lily was quietly hoping for one simple thing, that he would finally notice what she had been trying to show all along. Lily quietly walked away with her friends. Noah watched her for a few seconds before turning back to his own group. For the first time, he wasn't wondering whether she was friendly. He was wondering whether she was trying to be noticed. The thought stayed in his mind for days. The following Monday, Noah entered the library earlier than usual. Lily wasn't there. He sat down and opened his laptop. 5 minutes later, she walked in. The room was almost full. There were empty seats much closer to the entrance. Yet she walked directly toward his table. You got here before me today. Noah smiled. I wanted a quiet place. She laughed. So did I. She sat down and quietly began reading. Nearly an hour passed. Neither of them spoke. Then Noah stood up to grab a bottle of water. When he returned, he noticed something. His pen had rolled off the table. Lily had picked it up and placed it neatly beside his notebook. Thanks, she smiled. I didn't want you to lose it. It was another tiny gesture. Easy to ignore, but together with everything else, it started creating a bigger picture. A few days later, the university announced a photography competition. Students were encouraged to submit their best pictures. Noah loved photography. He entered immediately. The next afternoon, while walking across campus, he noticed a poster about the competition. Someone had circled one sentence with a marker. Don't forget to submit before Friday. He smiled and kept walking. That evening, Lily sent him her very first message. Did you submit your photo? Noah looked surprised. She had never texted him before. Not yet. You should. I think you'll do well. It wasn't a long conversation, but it was the first time she had created a reason to reach out. Friday finally arrived. After classes ended, students gathered outside the exhibition hall. Noah submitted his photo and stepped outside. A few minutes later, Lily appeared carrying her own camera. You entered too, she nodded. I almost didn't. What changed your mind? She looked at him for a second, then smiled. You did. Noah froze. What? She laughed nervously. I mean, you inspired me. She quickly looked away. For someone usually so calm, she suddenly seemed shy. Later that afternoon, the winners were announced. Neither of them won. Most students looked disappointed. Lily wasn't. As everyone began leaving, she walked beside Noah. I'm glad I entered. So am I. I probably wouldn't have, if I hadn't seen how excited you were. They walked in silence for a few moments. Then Noah finally asked the question that had been on his mind for weeks. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do I always feel like you're trying to get my attention? Without actually asking for it, Lily stopped walking. She looked down at the ground. After a long pause, she quietly smiled. Because I was. Noah waited. She took a deep breath. I didn't know if you liked me. I didn't want to interrupt your life. I just hoped you'd notice me on your own. She continued softly. I sat near you. I noticed every little change. I looked for chances to talk. I smiled whenever you walked in. I remembered small things about you. But I was afraid of making the first move. Noah finally understood. She wasn't waiting because she lacked confidence. She was waiting because she wanted to know whether he would notice her naturally. Many people believe attraction is always loud. In reality, it is often quiet. It hides inside small moments. A remembered detail. A smile across the room. A seat chosen on purpose. A conversation started with the simplest excuse. Looking back, the signs had always been there. She chose opportunities to be close. She noticed things others ignored. She quietly celebrated his presence. She looked for reasons to talk. She hoped he would recognize her effort. She created moments where he could approach her naturally. And above all, she waited patiently to see whether he would notice the feelings she was never brave enough to say out loud. Sometimes, the loudest confession is never spoken. Sometimes, It's hidden inside quiet actions that only one person is hoping you'll finally see.